You're up and you need a tow. Make sure it's affordable.
The views expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not those of radio station KICK, Vision Communications Incorporated, its management, or advertisers. Vision Communications Incorporated is not responsible for the validity or accuracy of information presented on this program. Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Sergey Shealy-Sorin. To be a part of the show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, Dr. Sergey Shealy-Sorin.
And good afternoon. I want to remind you that even though the weather is improving, you still need adequate nutrition. And at least 2.5% of people are the only ones get that. Vast majority get deficient. So at the top of the list, perhaps you should consider Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate. 2 tablespoons equals 3.5 servings of fruits and vegetables. Tastes good, lowers cholesterol, lowers blood pressure, and makes you feel good. In the retail department at real grocery stores. And all year, you need vitamins and supplements because of toxicity. And we talk about those a lot. And the best place to find those is Spring Valley Natural Foods, right here in Spring Valley. It's a place where I shop, and you should too. They carry everything you need and all of our goodies, the bliss oils, the magnesium lotion and spray, just goodies. The goodies that I get, and you should too, at Spring Valley Natural Foods.
Fantastic service, by the way. Absolutely great people. And I'm just honored to say that we're here together again, and you're getting stronger by the minute, starting a lot of good things, physical therapy. Hopefully things will keep progressing in the right capacity. And by the way, I'm just going to say for the record, Dr. Shealy is still not taking any prescription medications, which is a topic for today's conversation. How to get off your drugs.
And you could not pay me trillions of dollars to take any drug chronically.
So I just want to point out that the recovery is indeed possible with a holistic approach. I'm just going to bring out the big picture without drugs.
We can control hypertension 99+% of the time safely without stupid, dangerous, killing drugs. And that's true for depression and anxiety as well as hypertension.
Every chronic condition, period. I mean, just everything you can think of. So let's talk about an example of how many drugs people are on and what happens when you rely on the system of drugs and the conventional approach. And let me actually start with a little introduction. It is not unusual for me to see people, patients, clients, in the emergency room setting, where I still work every other weekend, and of course in our office where people actually want to get off those drugs. And right now I am working with one very pleasant young lady, and we're going to see if we can get her off about 30 different pills. And we'll make it. We'll do that. And I'll talk about the process of how that happens. But I also want to talk about the process of building health, building the foundation, and building those aspects of life that will allow you to safely come off drugs, because we were not born with a deficiency of drugs. We were born with a blueprint for health. And if we follow that blueprint, and that blueprint is, by the way, called holism, that's what we're talking about here. If the person follows what is the right things to do and the right things not to do, you can live a happy, healthy, beautiful life, and then you can even go further and enhance your telomeres and live possibly to 150. But the idea and the concept is that without the foundations, the basics, and the holistic approach, getting off drugs is going to be nearly impossible, because the system has got you I'm not going to say the word, but you're dependent. And we had another show where I talked about the matrix of the healthcare system, and the matrix of the healthcare system is falling down. In other words, people used to rely on specialists, on appointments, on procedures, on pharmacies. Supplies are coming down. The demand is going up. The stress, the anxiety, the world situation, it's getting worse. So the supply is not meeting the demand. And from the inside perspective, as an emergency room doc, and as just all around, I see the system crumbling in every single possible way. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be over tomorrow, but it's basically we're looking at a dead carcass, literally, that has already started to smell, and it's the stench is terrible. It's everywhere. It's in every aspect. A lot of what's happening, what's going on, is the failure of the planning, administration. It's basically it's the logistics of how healthcare is run, because there's a lot of not so smart decisions, stupid decisions that are being made that affect everyday lives. And right now, there's a crisis in the healthcare system, or what used to be called the healthcare system. But let's go back to the concept of holism, and when the concept of holism was sidestepped, and that's back a couple of 100 years ago, isn't it?
Well, yes, it fell apart when they kicked the soul out of medicine. That, it's so crucial that was the beginning of the end.
Yes, but the one thing that we cannot forget, the one thing that we have to remember, is that the soul is still a part of each and every human. That's what we call holism. Spirit, soul, mind, body. Not mind, body. Spirit, soul, mind, body. And if you approach it that way, you're a spiritual being, your soul. You're coming in and you have this operating system, the control center, the mind. And that mind determines everything that happens physically. Your world is literally your responsibility. So each and every one of us should be able to respond properly and appropriately to the events in our lives so that we build our best lives. How many people are walking around anxious and depressed? Last I checked the statistics, about 80%. That means these people are not living full quality lives. And when people have anxiety and depression, there is very frequently comorbid, in other words, it goes along absolutely in a positive correlation, chronic pain. And it's nearly impossible to control chronic pain until you control anxiety and depression, because again, the operating system, the control center, is off. When that happens, it doesn't matter how many pills you pump into the body. Do you want to jump in on?
Well, I want to say it begins with retraining the mind. I believe that it should be taught in the kindergarten. If it were, then people would be well most of their lives. Biogenics is the foundation for training your mind to be holy.
Since you're the founder of Biogenics, you created the system back a bunch of decades ago. Let's talk about the creation of it, because this is crucial, and what led you to it, what inspired you. Excuse me.
Well, I heard about autogenic training in October of 1972. It seemed interesting enough that I started trying it with my patients, and it was so successful that 3 years later I went back to get a PhD in psychology to discover the breadth of this, and out of that I created Biogenics. Now we have over 68 different exercises that retrain the mind to be at peace, to detach from these things you cannot change.
Absolutely. And when you rewire, reset, retrain the nervous system, you can literally change everything. Now, let's talk about some other medical conditions that have responded or to Biogenics, including miracles. People think of cancer as a terminal condition for the most part, but there have been a number of cases, including in our practice. Now, I'm not stating that we cure cancer with Biogenics, but interestingly enough, there's quite a few success stories where that came from.
Well, my first major success was 1994. I had a woman with metastatic cancer, breast cancer, unsuccessfully treated with chemotherapy and radiation, and told that she had 3 months to live. On the 70th day of working with her, she got well. Now, the cancer took 3 months to go away, but she discovered the cause of her cancer. It was basically an unhappy marriage. And she divorced her husband, and he committed suicide, and she got well and lived over 10 years longer.
Wonderful. Same concept. The idea is that the physical is a function, is a matter of the control center. And who is in charge of the control center? That's the biggest question. Last but not least, in our healthcare system, in our matrix of society where we live, we are trained, we're literally indoctrinated, not only as providers. And by the way, the healthcare system is completely compromised and has been compromised for decades. I mean, as a matter of fact, remember something called the Flexner Report?
Oh, well, created by the evil empire of the beginning, the Flexner Report sucks.
Yes. Try to annihilate basically every other alternative to healing.
Pharmacomafia.
Yes. So and that's why we're talking about medicines, drugs. Now, let's talk about the proper use of the drugs and what we're hoping to get away from. The proper use of the medicines, there is indeed a utilization. Holism means everything. It means taking the best of the conventional, taking the best of the non-conventional, and apply it. Sometimes you need surgery. If you have an appendix, you need a surgeon. If you have an acute infection, you may need an antibiotic. If you have another hypertensive emergency, something that's completely out of control and about to cause you stroke or a heart attack, you need something to lower the blood pressure. But interestingly enough, and I see this in the hospital setting more so than as much as anything else, is that I'll give you an example. A woman comes in, she's highly anxious, she's basically shaking. I ask her what her stress levels are and if she wouldn't mind slowing her breathing down, and her response is, "I'm not stressed. I'm fine." And in the meantime, she's shaking like a leaf in her body. I mean, literally, just you can see the vibration all around her. So I give her, and the blood pressure is going through the roof. And I'm trying to explain and trying to say, when you have stress, that sets off and adrenaline. It sets off all sorts of chemicals and reactive things and hormones. You are literally creating a fight and flight and kind of a life or death scenario where there is no need for that. And until you stop that, personally, no amount of medicine is going to overcome that blood pressure that you're raising. And this woman kept going to 200 over actually 110, and then 220 over 120, and then it just kept going. And finally, I just said to myself, because I don't like to use those drugs, this is getting out of hand. So I just gave her an anxiety medication, Xanax. I don't like to use those things. And all of a sudden, she fell asleep. And when she woke up, her blood pressure was 120 over 70. And then she asked me, "What's going on?" And before she got too anxious again, I asked her to go home and follow up with her doctor, because as soon as she started to get excited, her blood pressure started taking off again. So, but some people are not interested in becoming aware of their bodies. Some people are not interested in taking self-control. Some people are just not interested in being responsible for their being, for their health. And there's nothing we can do about that.
Well, and let's concentrate on essentials for mind, body, and health. At the top of the list is exercise, in my opinion. The one thing that's missing most, that's so simple, is exercise. A minimum, and that's like breathing, a minimum of 30 minutes, 4 days a week. Now, I like to do 2 hours daily, but that's just me. The second thing is nutrients. Eating a minimum of 5, but preferably 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. The average a person gets is 2. You're totally deficient in all kinds of things with that kind of fruits and vegetables. Number 3 is sleep. Are next in line in sleeping 7 or 8 hours a day. People who sleep less than 6 hours have more automobile accidents than all drug and alcoholics combined.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, just an attitude. It's an attitude to health. I'm okay. You should be able to say, I'm okay, and believe it and be it.
That is what I call the foundation, the lifestyle. Without lifestyle, everything else is questionable. I mean, you can do things, it will help, but you're not going to maintain it. So if you're not willing to take care of yourself, then, well, that's a big deal. Stress management, biogenics, autogenic training, one of the best self-regulation systems. And by the way, the stress in our world, in our country, in the world, literally, is crazy. It's designed to. I'm not sure if it's designed, but it's here, and it's hurting a lot of people. There's a lot of bad outcomes, mental health, or there's worsening medical conditions because everything relates to stress levels. So if you're not doing some kind of a stress management, relaxation, reset in the midst of all the craziness, and if you're subject to the control of the external world without controlling your internal world, who is in charge of the command center? That's the question. Ask yourself that question at some point. Just sit down, close your eyes, and ask yourself, who is in charge of my command center, my control center? Who is in charge of my mind? Am I, or is the environment? Is the news? Is the anxiety and the stress of the world? Because we all deserve to be at peace, love, and comfort and balance. And if we're not, it's our responsibility for ourselves. Nobody else. Nobody's responsible for me other than me. Nobody's responsible for Norm, Dr. Shealy, other than himself. And I can say the same about each and every person. So if you're willing to take responsibility, and do the right things, you don't need drugs because you can have the foundation for health. The body doesn't want to be sick. The body doesn't want to be in dis-ease. The body is born in ease for most people. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Well, stress is the foundation. It's been known for 120 years. One of the founding fathers of modern medicine wrote about stress as the cause of disease. And it's the biggest cause in ever, but especially the last 2 years.
And last but not least, of course, there's supplements and nutrients, and there's very basic, essential things that every person should have. A good B complex or Dr. Shealy's Essentials, Youth Formula, vitamin C, MSM, molybdenum, raises DHEA, anti-stress wellness hormone, vitamin D3. If you're under 135 pounds, once every 10 days or 3 times a month. If you're over that, you can do that once a week. And if you ever get sick or if you have an upper viral or upper respiratory, any kind of immune type of thing that you want to enhance, immune system that you want to enhance, then take 3 capsules of 50,000 units day 1, day 2, and day 3, 9 total, and then go back to weekly or every 10 days.
And totally safe.
And totally safe. And this is what we're talking about. What are the side effects of the things that we're talking about?
Well, all the essentials of holism are safe.
Exactly. As opposed to side effects of drugs. And I'm going to take you on a brief journey in just a few minutes of what happens when you approach the pharmaceutical route. And I didn't mention magnesium lotion, topical, lotion or spray. That's essential and it's missing in most people's diets and actually in the soil. But let me actually walk you through what happens when you approach the conventional system, not the holistic system. Ignore the lifestyle, forget about stress management. In other words, watch all the news that you want, get yourself in a really terrible place. Don't take any supplements. In other words, don't eat properly, don't exercise, don't sleep. But let's say a person decides to rely on the conventional system. Let's say you have stomach ulcers or stomach or reflux. A simple problem, stress related, very direct correlation there. You go to your primary care doctor. They're going to put you on a proton pump inhibitor, Protonix or something like that. Now, that is supposed to be for a very short term at most. And I have used that in the emergency room setting with bleeding ulcers, but I don't do it otherwise. Now, what happens is let's say the doctor leaves you on that medicine for a long time, some people for decades. what happens as a result of that simple proton pump inhibitor? You are not able to process proteins, and then you're not able to process lipids. So you're not literally making use of the nutrition that you're putting in your body. And if you're putting crap in, that's especially worse.
And it destroys your immune system.
What happens next? So now you're not able to make the components and the enzymes and everything else. The body starts to break down. You start to get into cholesterol, diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome. Why? Because the body's metabolism has been shut down. You're not metabolizing. You're not making use of the body's natural blueprint.
And the treatment for GERD chronically is limonene, an extract of orange peel, and peppermint gel. Totally will control it.
And
safely.
Without side effects. And if you really need something to help you digest, there's digestive enzymes that are good. But in the meantime, what happens down the line is now that a person is on proton pump inhibitor and has a stamp, a label diagnosis of a stomach problem, now they're going to start building more problems because, first of all, they're missing the essentials of what they need, the lifestyle, the stress management, the supplementation, the mind frame. And in the meantime, as they're destroying their body, the medicines are helping them destroy their body faster. And there's different classes of medicines that will do different terrible things. You want to talk about some?
Well, even aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
Over 60 years ago in medical school, I was taught that 16,000 people a year died from taking aspirin chronically.
Mm.
And now all its relatives, the so-called NSAIDs, do the same thing. They cause bleeding from the gut.
Let's talk about cholesterol drugs, blood pressure drugs, mood drugs. I mean, my God, it's just...
Well, they're terrible. They kill your muscles first and eventually your brain.
We're talking about cholesterol, statins.
Yes,
yeah,
statin drugs.
And there's a better way to control the cholesterol.
Oh, there's a dozen ways to actually control cholesterol.
Yeah.
But the top of the list is old-fashioned.
Well, for cholesterol, I would recommend to start with TMG and lecithin.
Yeah, TMG is the single best, but there are others that work as well.
Interestingly enough, let me jump in. People who have cholesterol issues or blood pressure or sugar issues, there's something called metabolic syndrome that people didn't say. When I was in medical school, it was described to me, it's a syndrome X. We don't know what that syndrome is about. We don't know why people have obesity, cholesterol, triglycerides, diabetes, hypertension. Even then, I was asking the professor, what do you mean you don't know? They're not doing the right things. They're eating crap. They're destroying their body. And I was told to sit down and shut up, basically, at the time. But that's the ultimate truth. It's not that we don't know what causes this condition. It's that we have to do the right things for the physical body and mentally and emotionally and otherwise. If we don't do what we're supposed to do according to the blueprint of how we are created as human beings, and trust me, we are created according to a blueprint. Conventional medicine does not have any concept or understanding of what that blueprint is. So when you go to a white coat, excuse the expression, or when you go to a doctor, please don't get me wrong. Doctors are fantastic people for the most part, a lot of respect, but a lot of people are miseducated, brainwashed, and misguided.
And in acute illness, drugs could save your life. And in chronic illness, they could cost you your life.
Yes.
It's that simple. There is no drug in the world which I would take chronically for any disease whatsoever.
Amen. Now, we can continue the conversation, but I also would like to see if there's any questions or comments on the...
The only question was, what is TMG?
TMG,
Trimethylglycine. It's a tablet about that big, 1,000 milligrams, and some people require 2 of them 3 times a day.
It supports the metabolism. It's a natural and safe way to work with metabolism. Wonderful. So just kind of comparing the conventional again and conventional and holistic. Holistic meaning beyond conventional, not excluding conventional. We don't exclude anything. Sometimes there's a place for surgery. Sometimes there's a place for medicine. Let's talk about blood pressure. That's a big topic for us.
I can control blood pressure in hundreds of people and have done so safely and had them weaned off the crap drugs.
It reminds me, Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. What I see in my practice in the emergency room, but also in the clinic, is that people have about 3 or 4 typical blood pressure medications, and their blood pressure is still not controlled.
And I can bring it under control within a week. Now, it may take me a month or 6 weeks to get them off the drugs, but in a controlled situation, it can get better all the time.
Let's talk about a related topic, diabetes. Diabetes is a metabolic condition. And let's talk about, actually, this is a pet peeve. I think I'd like to go into this. Has anyone out there heard that they're pre-diabetic?
Actually, I was taught that 65 years ago in medical school.
That's what I was told. And the teaching, again, classic teaching in conventional. I looked at one of the tests that I'm required to take for the boards every 10 years. I would flunk every single question because it's all about drugs. It's not, and it's very clear and obvious statement that if you want to choose the right answer, lifestyle is never it. Supplements are dangerous. Drugs are the answer. And if you can't do drugs, then you go to surgery. That is the mindset.
And the average physician doesn't even know what prediabetes is.
That's right.
Diagnosable by hemoglobin A1C.
Yes.
If it's 5.6 to 6.4, it's pre-diabetes.
But let me actually throw a wrench in that concept, because what is... If a person came in to see you in the office and say, I'm just a little bit pregnant, or does that make any sense? Pre-pregnant. No, it does not. So pre-diabetes, pre-hypertension, now you're either on a road, on a highway to hell, or you're on a highway to heaven. And there's a song, Highway to Hell, basically. So if you're on the road, on a highway to hell, and you're going at a breakneck speed, and now you have pre-diabetes, and you're going to get diabetes in about 6 months, and your doctor is waiting for you to get the frank diabetes so they can put you on insulin, does that make any sense?
Or metformin.
Drugs, exactly. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The idea to recognize is, why is the body going off kilter? What is the root cause? What is going on? Because when we're born, most of us are perfectly fine. And at some point, we accumulate a whole bunch of crap and diagnoses and labels. And I think the trouble is, and tell me if this is your perspective, but a lot of people attach labels to themselves and say, okay, this is who I am. I am a diabetic. I am a hypertensive. I am a pain patient. I have a mental illness. The fact of the matter is, these are all acquired societal and environmental stress-related illnesses. And that is how you reverse that. That is how you work with it. Holistic approach.
Halitosis is better than no breath at all, but healthy breathing is much better, and no halitosis.
Absolutely. But I do want to say that people who want to get off drugs and they're not willing to do the lifestyle, they're not willing to do the things that they need to do, that's also pure stupidity as well, because if you're not going to take care of things that will replace the bad habits into good habits, you might as well stay on drugs for the rest of your life and accumulate more. And this is this is the other thing that I'm getting from in the emergency room. People just take themselves off, but don't do anything positive. And then their health goes down.
And it's the road to death.
It's the road to death. So if you're going to get off drugs, which is good, do the right things. Get on board with a holistic concept. And we're coming back in shortly.
With Dr. Sergey Shealy-Sorin.
And we're back on.
Now we're ready for questions from you. 417-447-1777.
And we have a question. We have a call. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Great. What's up?
Great. I have a question. Could you talk about elevated lipoprotein A and how to reduce that?
Elevated lipoprotein A. I think the most common lipoprotein that I am familiar with for vascular health is lipoprotein B. elevated lipoprotein B, but there's all kinds. There's lipoprotein A. This is a metabolic type of a situation, and when that is elevated, the cholesterol is most likely to be elevated. But that is the same concept as what we just talked about, the metabolic syndrome. And go ahead. What was your question specifically, please? Yeah.
So how to reduce it? What supplements could we take? Because I've been put on fish oil and niacin.
Niacin is good. Yeah. Well,
Well, it can help, but I would take
red rice.
Red
rice
all those are good, but I would add TMG. TMG.
2 grams 3 times a day with meals. And I would also consider lecithin granules as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's basically 4 tablespoons during the day. You can break it up into twice a day, 2 tablespoons. I usually take all at once. I'm not sure that one is less effective than the
And
others.
it's good for memory, by the way. It helps you make acetylcholine.
Okay, great.
And the other thing too is if you haven't addressed fully the lifestyle, the stress, and otherwise, because you'll make more cholesterol in a single episode of stress than from 20 eggs, literally.
Well, my doctor says it's genetic in my case.
Can I introduce a concept of epigenetics? In other words, yes, there's genetics, but the environment, our thoughts, our feelings, and our environment, our actions, actually generate which genes are turned on and which genes are turned off. That's why there's studies in twins, and there's lots of information on Google Scholar where the genetics itself is a factor. But it's for people who have come to understand that this is a label, this is their permanent life situation. That's not exactly the case. You got a lot of power there.
Okay, great. Okay. Oh, well, thank you so much. I'll do some more research.
Yes.
Blessings.
Yeah. Perfect. Another call. Hi. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You're connected. How can we help?
Oh, this is Liz. I wanted to tell Dr. Shealy how great it is to see him, and that, Norm, you're looking so good, and how happy I am to see you, and it's great seeing the both of y'all.
Yeah.
Blessings. Thank you. It's great feeling better, too.
Well, you look just wonderful, and I'm just thrilled, and I've been waiting for you to come back, and just so glad that you're doing better, and I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling as good as you look.
Yes, definitely.
Great. Well, thank you for everything that y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you both.
Blessings. Yeah. And do we have another call? Or
so, if you have a question, now is the time. 417-447-1777, or we'll keep talking about holism.
Another thing that I want to mention is if you are in a crisis or a situation where the immune system or general health is going down, there are certain modalities that can actually jumpstart the body too, instead of, again, taking drugs or going the conventional approach. There's indications and there's contraindications to everything, but I want to strongly consider and bring up the concept of intravenous therapy in addition to other things.
Especially intravenous C.
Yes.
And a Myers cocktail.
And you've been doing that for decades now.
Well, since 1979.
And the interesting thing is a lot of people are talking about Myers cocktails, and they're offering Myers cocktails, including in this area, but not every Myers cocktail is the same. Actually, the Myers cocktail itself doesn't have much vitamin C. So if somebody offers you at a low cost Myers cocktail, it doesn't mean that you're getting the quality combination.
In fact, Myers cocktail would be useless without the vitamin C.
Exactly. So it's all in the semantics. So you really have to know and trust who you're talking to, because there's a lot of semantics, just like with the word holism and complementary and alternative. Complementary and alternative are false terms. Holistic is the real term, because it really truly encompasses the whole thing. Whatever you do, make sure you do it well. Make sure it's quality. And one thing that we insist on is quality. Now we got a call. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air. Yeah.
Hi. I have a question about what to use for chronic pain and spasms.
Where is the pain?
Shoulder.
If it's in the shoulder only, in area, proper use of TENS would probably be the treatment of choice. I would say it's got a 95% chance of controlling it safely.
There is another thing that I would add to that suggestion, and that's PEMF. PEMF is one. I didn't bring the device with me, but it's a wonderful device, and we came up with a concept of the Shealy-Sorin PEMF unit, which has 3 modes. The first mode is what you would probably want for the shoulder. That's a scan mode. Then there's the brain optimization mode, which is the gamma mode, which literally puts your brain in 40 hertz cycles per second. It's just, I'm all right. I'm feeling great. And there's a third mode, which is the delta mode, which is for sleep, relaxation, and for nerve pain. So that's another one to consider. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to say I'm getting so many reports about the delta mode, the third mode lately, that I'm actually thinking we underestimated it in the very beginning. And we're definitely worth a shot.
Okay. I have an appointment with you, I believe, at the end of the month, so I guess we can discuss it further.
We absolutely will, but there is also, as far as pain, what is pain? Pain is a sensory experience translated by the central nervous system. I'd love to talk to you more about resetting, retraining that as well.
And I'm going to offer you, at no charge, if you send me email, Norm at normshealy.com, a copy of autogenic training that you could practice till you get to see us.
Wonderful.
What? Say that again. Where do I send?
Send an email to
Norm at normshealy.com.
And what should I say in it?
Just say AT. AT.
2 letters. AT. I have an appointment coming up. Yes.
Autonomic training. All right, great. Thanks so much.
Blessings.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Okay.
Yeah. Another call? Oh, wow. That's
you on the air?
Great. Hi.
Yes. I just wondered, you were speaking about for acid indigestion, about peppermint and orange peel, and do you recommend a certain supplement?
Yes, at the top of my list is limonene and peppermint gel.
Peppermint gel. Okay, and how do you spell the other one?
Limonene, 600 milligrams.
Perfect. Okay, and do you sell that on your site?
Yes, in the store.
Perfect.
realholisticdoc.com.
I'm sure, but check the site.
Yeah, I think we did carry it, and I think we still do. But please check.
I will.
Yeah, realholisticdoc.com. If we don't, if for whatever reason, we need to have that, and I think we do. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and I'm glad you're back, Dr. Shealy. Missed you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye. So now another interesting modality besides vitamin C is medical ozone.
Yes.
Intravenous ozone. Ozone is a wonderful O3 molecule. It's a temporary molecule that gets created in a lightning strike or a storm, and you can actually create it in a device, which is what we have at the clinic, and combine it with pure oxygen. That becomes O3. That's a temporary compound that cleans up everything. And when we run the blood through and give you literally an auto transfusion of a cleaned up, just viruses, bacteria, fungi, anything that's autoimmune, lots of other different things, good for blood pressure, sugar, lots of different applications. And it's just one of those modalities that I do weekly together with vitamin C. It works extremely well together. And if you're ever in a place that you're considering whether you need acute intervention in a conventional sense, that is our alternative to one of our alternatives. Of course, if there's application and qualification, and we'll talk about that if you want to talk about this. Love it, purely love it.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget such simple things. Mm-hmm. It's hot packs.
Oh, yes.
Heat, local heat, sometimes ice.
You talking about musculoskeletal or local?
Special local pain.
Yeah.
It's safe and effective.
Ooh, I remember a question I could not answer last week. And now that you're here, somebody asked me about kombucha, making kombucha. And
yes.
I'm starting to learn the process. I know you're teaching me, but I want it to come from the master.
Well, you have to buy the sponge.
Can you talk about the process so that people?
Well, I have never made the sponge from scratch. I buy it on the internet, and once you've got a sponge, it's a little piece of, it's floating in liquid. You take 6 bags of Lipton. Well, I use Lipton tea, any kind of regular tea, and you use 1 cup of honey, and you mix those and dilute it to roughly a gallon. Put the sponge in, cover it with a cloth, leave it for a week at room temperature, and then you will have a new sponge as well and start over again.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, and the health benefits are absolutely magnificent.
It's good for the digestion and the immune system in general.
Yeah, plus very healthy, very
Yeah.
tastes great. So, for anyone who is interested in kombucha and growing your own, here we have it. Any other? Actually, you've got about 1 million different things you can talk about in terms of pearls. Anything else comes to mind?
Well, I want to talk about the immune system in general. It particularly requires D3 and the essentials and the youth formula. Those are basic. And astaxanthin. I personally take all year 30 milligrams of astaxanthin a day. And if you need anything else, you add beta-glucan up to 1 gram a day. And it can help all kinds of immune problems, especially the skin, but the digestive system and, inflammation in general.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you, speaking of supplements, at the height of your, how many supplements you were taking at one time, what was the amount of supplements you took? Not the number of pills, but number of supplements.
I think number of supplements?
Over 100.
120.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Any of those come to mind as a special kind of pearl?
I like ashwagandha and lion's mane.
Yep.
They're particularly good. All kinds of mushrooms are good for the immune system.
Now, there's actually a 7 medicinal mushroom combination that I came across. Really good. And actually, that's one of the good ones. But there's lots of different other great things. Now, let's talk about. We're talking about getting off drugs. Let's talk about diabetes. Diabetes is one of the most common problems.
Yes, and if it's significant, you might need Gymnema sylvestre, but also fenugreek can help immensely, and chromium. 1 milligram a day.
Yes, but again, in order to get off drugs and to roll back on the diabetes, it's going to be essential to build the foundation of health again. Lifestyle. Without proper nutrition, garbage in, garbage out, well, that's what happens. Exercise, movement, and the rest of lifestyle. We have
You're on the line.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? You're on.
I'm on. Fantastic. This is Martha. Martha McGee.
Martha McGee, yes.
Hi, Doctor. Yes. The one and only.
The one and only,
well,
yes.
If you go on Facebook, they're probably 87, but but I'm the only me.
Yes.
So, hi, Dr. Shealy.
Hello.
Welcome.
Great to hear you.
I missed you. I missed you on email.
Well, I also am currently able to guarantee email only Wednesday and Thursday. I'm
okay.
living in an area which reception is poor.
Well, we have no reception at the farm.
Yeah,
but the good thing is we're kind of off the grid, so it's well.
But
that's a good way to be. Well, I'll pencil you in for Wednesdays and Thursdays then.
Great.
Anyway, I'm calling actually with a couple of questions. Right now, I'm having dental emergencies, and I have um, I'm wondering what your opinion of amoxicillin for dental pain or a dental infection. I don't. There's no abscess on the X-ray. I went to have the tooth extracted yesterday because it needs to come out, and I went to a student dental clinic and they couldn't get me numb.
Oh, shoot.
They gave me enough Novocaine for 20 different mouths and to sink a small ship, and they still couldn't get it numb. So they sent me home and said, "Oh, you probably have an infection. It's blocking the wall. It's blocking the Novocaine." And so they gave me amoxicillin. But I've had too much amoxicillin over the years, and I also tend toward AFib. I worry that it could reactivate AFib. My heart's been jumping around this morning. And I'm wondering your opinion of amoxicillin and if you think that's a good protocol or if there's something else.
Something else. I could take. Yeah. Actually, get in touch with me. There's a better antibiotic if there's an indication for that. But there is also a protocol that I'd like to recommend to you. So please, connect with us. And one of the things there is, if you're going to use antibiotic, and if you're not allergic to something called clindamycin, not a big fan of antibiotics, but if it's truly, hurting and infected, that's a much better drug. Again, this is where the drugs are okay, acute. But there's also, I want to see and talk about. You're generally really healthy. I mean, just. Optimizing your health, wellness. If you maybe get a couple of IVs where you live, I think you don't live local here.
No, I don't. I wish I did.
Yeah, maybe a couple of IVs, vitamin C. That's we usually do that to support pre and post-operative cases as well.
They gave me a pain medicine called
Meloxicam? Yeah, that's a non-steroidal. Yeah, is it working for you?
I was afraid to take it. I read the insert. It said first side effect, heart attack and stroke.
Yes.
With no warning.
Yes, there's actually a similar drug that was taken off the market for the same concept. Yes.
I'm afraid to take anything. I took too much Advil over the years, and I had a gastric bleed and some ulcers, so I don't take that.
Right.
So,
right.
if you're in pain and you don't take anything, it's well, of course, I don't have any of your devices. I do have a TENS unit. Oh, would that work on teeth?
Well, it could. I would try it on Master of the Heart 6 and Triple Heater 7. And, the front and back of the wrist on the side of the tooth.
So let's say, since we're on the air, I'm just going to see if you can see me. So, for example, what Dr. Shealy...
I can't see you.
Oh,
okay. I can only hear you. I'll watch the replay.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Actually, there'll be a replay. No. But it's okay. So basically, right here and here. So where the wrist is right in the center of the wrist. And just above where the wrist is, or proximal to the wrist, as they, it's and that's worth a shot, definitely.
The 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep, opposite each other. On, let's say, if it's a left side, then you would pick the left, and then you would apply the electrodes on dorsal and the volar. In other words, inside and outside. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I could give that a try. I'll do anything.
Yeah, but if you're truly hurting, just give me a call. Really, give me a call,
okay.
And we'll figure something out. I've dealt with these things a lot.
Okay. Thank you both so much. I love you with all my heart.
Blessings. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have another caller. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So. All right, let's kind of continue the conversation a bit here. What was the last topic that we were on, by the way? Diabetes. Yeah, okay, thank you, Robin. Yeah, so we're talking about diabetes. Diabetes, again, is a metabolic disease. It's a disease of metabolism. Let's break down this disease of metabolism. Dis-ease, lack of ease. What causes the lack of ease? Let's break it down to the holistic root cause level. It's the lifestyle. It's the attitude, it's the stress, and it's what you do to your body and what you don't do to your body. that it needs. It's following the blueprint. That's why most people get that. Now, I'm not talking about specifically people who are born with type 1 diabetes. But that's not very common.
And
you
sorry. On the air? Oops. Well, you were on the air.
Okay, please call back. Yeah. Or time is getting pretty close, but we can.
Well, stress control is the foundation, and biogenics is at the head of the game. And the Gamma Pemf, I think biogenics and the Pemf device will handle a huge majority of stress problems and illnesses.
And that is how we can get off medicines, come back into normal, come back from dis-ease back into ease. Remove the labels, remove the expectations, remove the negative placebos. Realize you got the power. Spirit, mind, body. You are here to play. You're here to have a good time. You're here to have a great life. If you're not, think about it. Do something that's good for you. You're worth it.
And my favorite word in the world is detach. If I cannot change it, I detach. I do not play broken records and wallow in the manure.
And
so keep the faith, babies. Practice biogenics and use the normal, safe things and take the required basic supplements and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night.
So in other words, take care of yourself, keep it simple, and you're not going to have to need the complicated stuff like drugs, surgery, and all of the other stuff that comes with a conventional chronic healthcare system, which has already failed. Well, we see it on the inside. People will see it soon enough if you haven't already. But the bottom line is, this is a perfect opportunity. I want to talk about, just as a closing statement, the idea and the concept of the challenges and opportunities, because most people in the world lately see problems. They see challenges. They see things that are wrong, and they focus on things that are wrong. That's a negative mindset. Now, I'm not saying not to be aware. You need to know what's going on around you. You need to know what's going on in your world and what's possible threats, possible good things. You need to be aware of where and what is going on. But the focus needs to be on solutions. And solutions need to be holistic, because if you follow anything but the blueprint, the result is going to be anything but good. And that is holism.
And that is the way to health. Holistic, holy health.
And we'll see you next week for another exciting topic.
And have a good one.
And before we go off air, let's go into any questions or comments or anything on live.
We have a question online. I ended up with Costochondritis.
Okay, let me repeat the question. I ended up with Costochondritis.
Other than NSAIDs, what can I do to help this awful pain?
I apply magnesium lotion. It can do wonders for that.
Right on the area where that hurts.
Yes.
Yep. That's inflammation. Magnesium calms everything down.
Another question says, what is the best substitute for Sudafed for allergies?
For allergies for Sudafed. The best, I'm going to say this way. If you take the good essential immune support supplements, good B complex,
yes,
essentials, youth formula, vitamin D3,
beta-glucan,
astaxanthin, chances are after a while you will be okay. You won't need the medicines, hopefully. And if you do, or something is not right, then it's time to discuss further. But yeah. And any other questions?
Somebody asked for you to repeat the remedy for GERDs.
Repeat the remedy for healthy, holistic remedy for reflux. Third.
limonene, Limonene, 600 milligrams up to 3 times a day if needed.
And a good digestive enzyme as well. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand this question. All they typed was autoimmune issue MG.
Autoimmune issue.
MG question mark. I don't know what that is.
Well, I'm not sure what the abbreviation MG stands for.
Digesticure is one possibility.
DG, Digesticure. Okay. Yes, there's a wonderful compound. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question right, but I'll just go with something that I know and I love. Is Digesticure, lifesavingformulas.com. One of the best immune supplements, and it's just it comes from aloe vera. I actually co-wrote a book on this, second edition of the Code of Life, so feel free to pick it up. It's just a wonderful tour of the immune system, and it talks about a number of other things that are supposed to be normal and which are not. It's a wonderful concept, and this is a long-term product. I absolutely love it. And as an idea, for example, you start off, you ramp it up. There's a wonderful customer service line, their website, if I'm not mistaken, lifesavingformulas.com. And great company, usually great results, but it takes time. It's one of those long haul things, 3 to 12 months, depending on the condition. Wonderful for autoimmune. If you're not on it, there is no downside that I know. There's only an upside, and the upside is fantastic. Yep. Wonderful. Anything else? But if that's not the question, please let us know and clarify, and we'll address that. Yeah. Anybody else, Robin?
Hold on, I'm looking. Somebody had a question about planter's wart. Oh, yeah. How do you deal with a planter's wart?
Planter's wart. What's your experience? Now, I'm going to give a funny answer here that seems to be holding some truth. Duct tape. Duct tape works on everything, but
castor oil.
Castor oil, yes.
Place castor oil liberally over it. Paste to something that saves that, and do it every night. Now, if that does not work, there is a hyper stimulation thing, the high frequency device that's used by hairdressers.
And that's something that people can get over the counter?
Over the counter, and treat actually the local area.
Yes, in the medical field, normally it's either frozen or it's sometimes they get cut out. But there's other ways to work about it. There's also local medicines that can be applied. But that would require a visit to the doctor, so that they will. Those are prescription type things, and it's not bad. For that purpose, it serves well. Yep. Anybody else?
No questions, just comments.
Let's have some of the comments.
It just says, great to see the two of you and listen to you live. Keep the faith, babies.
Bam.
Dr. Shealy, you are looking especially handsome today. And it said, thank you for your help. I'll be in touch. Just comments like that. I mean, that's about it.
Wonderful. Well, we'll take those. That's perfect.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for listening. And I do want to say that if you're following us, next week is going to be even more exciting than this week. I'm not sure how that's possible, but we'll make it work. All right. Take care.